before I get started, please help yourself to beers. There's wine over there, snacks, no strings attached. Just go help yourself, please. We don't want to take a bunch of it home. So we're at 6:15. Let's get started on time. Some people will be trickling in, and that's fine. Thanks for coming out tonight. We've got a good presentation for you. My name is John Wojciechowski. I am the lead instructor of the Sustainability Technologies program at Cape Fear Community College, and also a registered architect with my own architecture company as well. So before I get into the presentation, I did want to just announce a couple things. They are, as you're probably well aware, they're wrapping up literally tonight the WHQR pledge drive. And I just had an update in the elevator with one of the guys that was back there manning the phones, and he said they were going to end this thing tonight. They were $25-something thousand short of their goal, so it doesn't appear that they're going to reach that goal, but they are committed to getting as close as they can and waiting a few hours. I think a lot of people procrastinate, wait till the last minute, and then they're going to finish it up. So anyway, that's not going to present any disruptions here. If you see people coming and going, that's what that's all about. But also, I'd encourage you, if you haven't pledged or you wanted to, you're here, and the guy said you can walk right on back there and we'll take care of you. I might do that afterwards, actually, myself. So, okay, we've got a good presentation tonight. It's about trash. So, what I like about this subject is what could be simpler than trash? My gosh. It's dumb simple. You use something, you throw it away, and then like magic it disappears. Once, maybe twice a week. And then there's this other bin next to it, it's the recycle bin, and that stuff disappears too. And you don't even have to ever worry about it or think about it. You may pay a little bit for it, right? And that's one of the things we're going to talk about tonight. But boy, what a complicated subject this is. When you start to dive underneath what most people know about trash, which is a very limited perspective, and really understand some of the issues behind it, it's very complex. Let me give you just some bullet points that I found to kind of illustrate maybe some of the complexities and contradictions of this subject. Hey, welcome everybody. Help yourself to drinks over here. We're just announcing the getting started here. So we were at a convention. Les and myself and a couple of people were at a sustainability symposium at Brunswick Community College a couple weeks ago, and there was a representative from one of the major haulers there, and this was a great quote, and I don't know if I quoted him exactly, but he said, I can't remember if it was waste management or waste industries or something like that, it doesn't matter. He said, listen, we get paid to send waste to the landfill. That's our job. We get paid if we send waste to the landfill. But at the same time, people want us to recycle as much as possible. Go figure that contradiction, right? Some recycled materials are very valuable, like aluminum cans. Others have literally very little to no value whatsoever. So there's a contradiction right off the bat, right? Now what about the perspective of the homeowner? The homeowner doesn't really know much about this subject, and in fact, there's a lot of misconceptions. So, from the Missouri Department of Natural Resources, my home state, I'm from St. Louis, they said many people are surprised when they discover that they pay more, or their community pays more for curbside recycling than for the regular trash pickup. So in their mind, they connect those dots and they say, well, recycling must not be economical. Public perception, right? Well, when you dig a little bit deeper, one reason why that's the case is that trash in many respects is subsidized. These communities may be paying out of tax dollars that are not directly billed to you. The haulers, the landfill, all the administration, the roads to get to the landfill, all this other stuff, that as soon as you have to go outside that network and recycle, you may be paying the full costs of the recycling. There lies the dichotomy between those two costs, and the misconception there as well. What about the perspective from the municipality? John Hubbard tonight is going to speak to this, and I think this is really important. Landfill space. Boy, this is going to be one of the hottest pieces of real estate around. The landfill at some point. That space is at a premium. In fact, so much that in 2009, the state of North Carolina banned plastic bottles from the landfill. And then in 2011, they banned electronic waste. And there's other reasons for the electronic waste. But a lot of these initiatives are to prolong the landfill operation as long as possible. We don't want to think about replacing that landfill. My God, the costs and the environmental consequences are going to be enormous. What about the very, very complicated waste stream? I mean, the stuff most people throw away in their trash can is very simple. What about this crazy statistic? North Carolina is now a major center for commercial medical waste incineration. Last year, 26 states sent their waste to North Carolina, and 34 million pounds of medical waste was incinerated. So did you know that North Carolina is a leader in medical waste incineration? Who would have known that? That was from the Blue Ridge Environmental Defense League, a white paper in 2011. And finally, don't forget about what's the simplest strategy to reduce waste? Use less. Again, it comes back to some very simple stuff. And I hope that when we finish this discussion tonight, we're left with maybe a better understanding and also some simple things. Source reduction. The United States EPA lists source reduction. That's a fancy way of saying use less stuff, right? As the #1 initiative in combating our municipal solid waste. The #1. Bet you haven't heard that, right? Ton for ton, source reduction is the most valuable strategy we can have. Okay, so our presentation tonight, we're going to start with John Hubbard. John is the Director of Environmental Management at New Hanover County, and he's going to give us the perspective from the county. A little bit of overview, and our theme tonight is the economics of trash. So we're going to underline this is what's going on with like this, the economics of our trash situation. And John manages that he'll tell you some of the parts and pieces. One of the most advanced integrated waste stream systems in North Carolina. Following John, Les Evans, right here with WasteZero, has traveled all around the country promoting some new and innovative waste strategies. So Les is going to give us some insight on maybe what some other places are doing about their waste strategy and maybe some different things that we could be thinking about. So without further ado, I'm going to give it to John, and thanks again for coming.
Let me give you a little background on myself. I know John mentioned that trash is simple. You know, you just put in your trash can and it disappears from in front of your house. For 43 years of my life, I thought that was true. I was my former life. I was a naval officer. I retired for 20 years, and I moved from city to city. And I said, "What do I do with my trash?" You hire this company, or you get your choice, or whatever, and they take it away, and that's that. So little did I know when I made the decision to retire to Wilmington, and I didn't have a job. My wife's a high school teacher, and I had planned well, I thought, so I had some time to do my research. And lo and behold, I was going to all sorts of places, and I was reading about this waste-to-energy plant that had all sorts of problems. And this was back in 1991, and so I thought, well, I'm an engineer. I was engineering several ships. Easy stuff. So I'll go and talk to that director and just let him know I'm around if he's looking for somebody to help him out. And 6 months later, I had a job as a plant manager for the waste-to-energy plant. And then I learned about trash. So, and it is complex. I'm not going to really go into detail on our divisions because I want to tell you a little bit about what we have now, and then I'll go into what we're planning, because I know John said he'd like to know what we have planned for 10, 20 years out, and how we see it in New Hanover County. We have 4 divisions. We have the landfill, which is the center of it all. But we don't want to fill up that landfill, obviously, as John said. So how are we not going to fill up the landfill? Well, back in 1982, the landfill came online, very first line landfill in the state of North Carolina, and one of the first in the country. The reason why was because of the high groundwater table. This is right, well, this is not the site of the landfill, but it's right on the northeast Cape Fear River right there, about 3 miles north of the waste-to-energy site. And so they said, let's do the lining, and then they had sticker shock, said, whoa, this costs a lot of money. So let's see what we can do. And they all formed a committee and had a vote for the bonds to build this thing, and it passed 13-1 back in 1982. And the waste-to-energy plant came online in '84, the first waste-to-energy plant in North Carolina. So that was how we were going to save space, and of course recycling it was very much in its infancy then, and it's really grown from our perspective in our county. In the last 3 or 4 years we've doubled, but still it's a very small amount. We bring in about 200,000 tons of solid waste into our facilities, and only 5,000 of that tons is recycled from the unincorporated area. If you include the city, that's another 5,200, and then some of the municipalities also is recycled. So we'd like to see, and that's what I'm going to talk about a little bit, I'd like to see recycling take off, and there are ways to do that. So basically, we're calling now, since we're going through a new phase, we actually shut down the waste energy plant almost a year ago, next month, and because it was losing money, and we have put out some proposals, or RFPs, requests for proposals, to have a private company come in and refurbish it, operate it, and maintain it. And we think it'll work doing it that way. So that's what we're working on at this point. I also want to remind you that, most of you live in Hanover County, that we're only the facilities that get the trash. We don't haul it. We don't pick it up. We're the disposal facilities. So I know a lot of people get confused and call us when they have a problem. You need to call who's picking up your trash, because we don't do that. The only thing we go out to is our drop-off sites for recycling. So anyway, that's kind of the overview of the facility. And if you're doing the questions and answers, if you want to know any more specifics, I do have some slides that show you the complexities of building a landfill cell, the complexities of operating a waste to energy plant, because there are great complexities there. How do we figure out our tipping fee? A lot of people ask that question. What we do is we first of all anticipate where our revenues are coming from. We get revenues when we operate the waste energy plant. We get revenues from power sales. We get revenues from the metal we pull out, the recycling. We get revenues from our drop-off sites, the recyclables, and anything else we have those are the majority of the revenues. And then finally, the tipping fees come from what we charge the haulers to dispose of their trash. And what we do is we figure out what is our budget. What is our expenses for a year? We subtract the revenues that we know about, those ones I just mentioned, and then we get the remainder. We say how much do we anticipate as far as trash, and then divide, obviously, the number of tons we anticipate into the expenses we have left, and that's what our tipping fee per ton comes out to be. A waste energy plant is more expensive than putting solid waste into the ground, so into the landfill. So obviously ours is considered relatively high, but actually it's not. If you go north here in Pender County, theirs is $70 a ton. So we're 59 right now, $59 a ton.